Team Gravity presents Fight Night.
Y'all ready for this?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been what you've been waiting for. It is the feature presentation of this week's Fight Night, hosted by Team Gravity and sponsored by Hitbox TV. It is going to be two players at the top of their game, a Terran and a Zerg, a classic matchup. It is going to be MaSa versus viOLet. Really exciting here to see what these guys can do. It's going to be for a nice, cool $60 for the victor, $20 for the loser. So nobody goes home empty-handed here. And, well, let's see who is playing where. This is going to be King Sage on Station LE, guys, with the blue Terran spawning on the upper left-hand side. He's the player representing Root Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, this is MaSa.
And in the southern position, the Zerg that many of you know and love, for even just his character, but most likely also his play, it is the Red Zerg. He is viOLet.
Now, viOLet here, obviously, is a very well-known player. He's been teamless for quite a while now, but, you know, he does get sponsored a lot for the tournaments he goes to. He's frequently compared with Pult, linking those two guys together because they both are foreign students residing in the United States at the moment, and, you know, basically just dominating the NA scene here because they are considered part of WCSNA. So not too much needs to be said about viOLet. As far as MaSa goes, this guy is a very underrated player, I think. He's been on Root Gaming for quite a while now, and, you know, he's easy to forget, but he's also someone who, you know, participates in a lot of tournaments. He is qualified for WCS Challenger. This is not someone really that people should be sleeping on. In fact, I actually had the pleasure of casting him in the Immortals Minerals tournament that happened in August. And he basically beat through a really stacked crowd of 10 professional players, including Huck and Daishi, and basically all kinds of talent, and he was able to win it all. So I definitely look out for this dude. It's easy to forget, but not for me.
Yeah, MaSa, one of the kings of the North, the Canadian Terran. He is, like you said, often overlooked by players, and he hasn't necessarily had like those big, huge wins all the time, but he is a Challenger League player. He did unfortunately get beat out of Premier League by Hydra, but it's Hydra, and he ended up going 3-1 in that series quite recently. So he is going to be potentially on top of his TVZ game. And as for viOLet, who is trying to break down the front door with these lings of this command center first into barracks by MaSa, viOLet does have a double Terran group coming up for WCS. So we'll have to see if those guys end up checking out these VODs, as they may be good studying material for viOLet's opponents. So a big thank you to him for actually deciding to even play this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that very thing actually came up as well. Originally, this was going to be viOLet versus Major, but because those two are in the same group for WCS, they're like, no, we're gonna have to change this up. So that's why we are having this, and thankfully, this is, in my opinion, just as you know, exciting a matchup, because really, I can't wait to see how these two players do. And not to mention, MaSa is on the same team as Major is, both Root Gaming. Actually, no, Major just left Root Gaming, so
yeah,
okay, I guess not.
But I always, in my mind, when I was first maybe getting into StarCraft 2, maybe I got these guys mixed up, because I think at that time, when I was starting to look more into the pro scene, they were both on Root. As Major is, it seems like every couple of months he leaves Root and joins Root, so it's hard to keep track of exactly where he is. But MaSa and Major, those two guys, I always think of them as peas in a pod. I'm sure they're not actually, but just in my head, they seem to be. And MaSa is certainly, as we were talking about, a very capable Terran. Now, he is going to be floating that orbital over to the natural base, but unlike we were seeing kind of with Gosu User, who on these two-player kind of maps wanted to go 3-hatch before pool, we're seeing roaches come out for viOLet.
Yeah, viOLet playing very aggressively here. And, MaSa was able to withstand that because he did expand inside the base and
Mm-hmm.
possibly because he realizes that, well, this is the kind of player viOLet can be. So expanding on the low ground would be a dangerous choice. But now he has been able to secure the natural. Well, still trying to, I guess, with a couple lings in here. Hellions will be able to clean them up.
Yep. The Roaches marching their way across the map. There's only just these Hellions here, but they will run into the Roaches. They will get a couple of shots off there right at the beginning, and MaSa reacts quickly enough to not lose a single of the Hellions. And the Hellions are going to try to skate on inside the main base. The SCV's completely evac. Oh, except for that one SCV who's going to get totally wrecked. But the other SCV's evac on out of there.
All right, so now MaSa is going to basically hold down the fort inside the main base. And if we take a look at what viOLet's doing, he is not 100% committing to this attack. He's already transitioning. We got a lair on the way. No third yet, but seeing a banging nest being built. viOLet just wants to utilize these roaches, essentially, to contain MaSa and keep him from mining in the natural. And that is something that Azur can be very happy with. But with the Banshee out here for MaSa now, he is going to be able to chase away these roaches, and he should be able to retake that natural soon. But there is a lot of lost time now.
Yeah, for sure. Killing off these extra roaches is nice, but because he's taking the time to kill off those roaches, that is giving viOLet all the time he needs to finish up a couple of spore crawlers. He's just got the one in the natural, which even with Cloak on the way, and that spore crawler will just help kind of negate that. And then, like you said, the layer already on the way. We can see Overlords morphing into Overseers. So I don't know how effective this Cloak is going to be.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come a step too late. What MaSa can try to do, though, is target or at least soften up that third base, because really everything's still kind of far from it. No existing spores there, of course. And then maybe even force a cancellation. That's going to be one really great thing MaSa can try to aim for. But viOLet's already on the way with one queen. Cloak activated, of course. I think MaSa wants to target down the queen here. Will he be able to do it? No transfuse from viOLet?
Oh.
And it dies.
A nice move there by MaSa. Now, viOLet is, of course, trying to drag the Banshees into range of the Spore Crawler, but the Overseer will give vision. Oh, another queen does go down. That's two queens down. The third one is on the ramp. It's in a dangerous position as it steps off a creep, way too slow to escape. It goes down itself, and viOLet's great opener, as he denied so much mining time, is kind of turning him against him.
Yeah, this is a really just almost... This is unexpected. You don't expect the Banshee counter to do this much damage, taking out every queen in its vicinity, forcing viOLet now to counter with all these roaches. But then again, these roaches can do a lot of damage because the Widow Mines are out in the center of the map, and they didn't quite catch much. So now MaSa is going to face this roach counter, and what does he have at home to defend this?
Well, the two Banshees are flying back home. Ooh, MaSa waiting until the 11th hour to actually raise that supply depot, but now the Roaches have bursted it down with their DPS. They're inside the main base, targeting down those Marines, and the SCVs brought off the line to fight. The two Banshees are in reasonable numbers to DPS down these Roaches, but they're getting some lovely, lovely SCV kills.
Oh, yes, and these Hellions right now are taking advantage of the fact that viOLet's outside of his base with his army. These Hellions are getting in so much damage, guys. Both sides killing a lot of workers, but viOLet, the one who has the least of them. And that is a GG from viOLet. MaSa taking game number 1.
Yeah, so all of the talk for viOLet, MaSa is like, hey, you know what? You're going to kill 20 of my SCVs. Well, I'm going to lay waste to 20 or so of your drones with the counterattack. A great play there by MaSa, and what looked to be a solid position for viOLet just kind of turned around, and MaSa kind of flipped the entire thing on its head.
It is so brutal when you lose those queens because you cannot inject. And that is really what drives the Zerg macro. If you can't inject, suddenly you can't even, you have great mining. Who cares? You can't do anything with it. What are you going to do? Build a bunch of spines or something? Like,
yeah,
it's and then you have to remake those drones that you just used with inferior number of larvae. See, it's a domino effect. So MaSa being able to take out those queens was probably the biggest turning point in that matchup. And viOLet, going forward, he needs to be a little more careful with those things.
for sure. Now, he does have the opportunity to make the comeback real, as we saw in some of the best of 5 series. Even dropping a couple of maps wasn't the biggest deal, even less so potentially here in a best of 7 between MaSa and viOLet. But viOLet, I mean, he's no stranger to tournament play. He's no stranger to big competition. He's been on bigger stages than this, and he is likely going to stay calm and cool as a cucumber and look to turn this around, learn what he can from the previous game, and move on to take a victory in the next one. But we'll see how it turns out on merry-go-round.
Yeah, checking out the poll right now in the chat, it looks like most of the viewers here do believe that viOLet is going to turn this around. 66.7% against 33.3%. Believe that viOLet will win the main event. So let's see if viOLet can confirm that for these folks. So if you guys are watching this through Team Liquid right now on their website, you don't know what the heck I was just talking about. The poll, what is this nonsense? That's because you aren't seeing the chat. That's because you're not taking part in what is a party that's going on here on hitbox.tv/Team Gravity. So come on over here, guys. Make yourselves at home. Set up an account. It'll take you just maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. But you don't even have to confirm your email. You just got to basically type in your account name and password. Boom. You're set and ready to go. And really join in on the fun. All right. So on Merry-Go-Round LE, we're going to have game number 2. This is going to be the Red Terran, who was able to have a relatively quick victory there. His counter with Banshees was fantastic and set himself up for a nice 1-0 lead right now. It's going to be the player representing Root Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, this is MaSa.
And the blue Zerg in the 6 o'clock position, currently teamless, but living and playing in North America. We do have the blue Zerg viOLet.
Previously, we did see viOLet go for a very early pull. He's going to go for a 14-14 again this time around. Now, he sent out the early lings to try to catch MaSa expanding on the low ground. He was not doing that. MaSa was playing very safe, making the expansion part of that upper ground wall. So with that, viOLet may decide this time not to be as aggressive, even though he's going for the 14-14, but we'll see. But thus far, it doesn't look like MaSa is walling with that barracks.
Yeah, kind of interestingly here, he's hiding it back. My assumption for this would be to kind of freak viOLet out, because viOLet's going to be coming in. He's going to see the fact that the wall in is currently just 2 supply depots and no barracks, and he's going to be like, am I being too raxed? Am I being cheesed of some sort? What is going on?
That is a fantastic point you are making right here. And you know what? If someone were to fall for that, it could lead to a variety of horrible things like overproducing lings, not making drones, delaying your third. It could lead to a lot of crazy stuff. MaSa, though, he is going to plan to expand on the low ground. It looks like having that SCV rallying back and forth. viOLet's taking that expansion on the low ground. I haven't seen any crazy reactions out of viOLet just yet.
Nope, he's just powering out a couple more drones. I mean, he did fly his Overlord through, come pretty close to the middle of the map, so he was probably able to just get that scouting, get that ease of mind, but like you talked about, both of these guys are going for their expansions at approximately the same time.
Yep, so viOLet having gone for the 14-14, he's not going to make any lings here, probably because, last game it didn't really do much for him, maybe even set him back a bit. So now he is going to go for speed instead, get out his queens a little bit earlier, and then basically just, focus more on the econ right now.
Yep, as he's adding on 12 lings, speed is going to be finishing up. We'll have to see how much eco he decides to power through after this. But there is only a couple of Marines out on the map, about 6 in total for MaSa. So potentially these could be getting caught out of position as the lings do head across the map. And a Baneling nest on the way for viOLet.
This is the droopy program failing again. Right as I say, he's like focusing on droning, then he makes a bunch of lings. Well, all right then. He is going to go for a huge Ling Bane bust. MaSa now caught in a bad spot with these Marines. Going to try to kite those Lings as best he can, but he does lose all of them. And this natural now, well, may need to be canceled as far as the orbital command goes and lifted up.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be letting that finish, but he is taking that ton of damage, almost down to below half HP, as now it just lifts away. And like you said, viOLet caught pretty much every single one of those Marines. Well, he didn't catch like all of them. He caught exactly all of them up against that command center, absolutely wrecked them, and there's just 2 Hellions on top of the ramp, which, with this many Banelings coming in, it's going to be troublesome for MaSa to try to hold off.
Yeah, MaSa right now, he is going, he has these Hellions, but no reinforcement on this wall. And that may be just his decision to build a barracks far away, hurting him. Banelings do get in, but not much more, luckily for MaSa. So he actually cleans that up.
It was a couple of Lings, and now the Lings that were heading out across the map have turned around, so he busted up those supply depots, which, yes, it did supply block MaSa by a pretty good amount. But it's 8 drones on the production tab. They're finishing up. It's into eco, it looks like, for viOLet.
Yes, he was behind on the workers for a little bit there, just added a few more on now, so him and MaSa are both even. And I think MaSa has held this very well, I have to say. I mean, MaSa right now, he is going to retake that natural very soon. He'll be on the same number of bases as viOLet. A Zerg player would most generally prefer to be on 3 at this point in ZVT. But viOLet, instead of taking a third, actually is going to go ahead and go right into Lair Tech here.
Yeah, but we also have Cloak and Banshees on the way for MaSa, and we saw those be extremely effective in the previous game. We'll see if MaSa has got the same 6 skills in this game to really make that damage happen. It could not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting, because if those Banshees attack and they force viOLet to, really commit hard, like, oh, I got to put up a bunch of spores, I got to do this, I got to do that. Look at how long he's delaying his third base right now. 851, still no third base, still actually under-droned compared to MaSa. And if MaSa can force out a lot of anti-air early on, that's going to basically hold back viOLet's macro even further. So that could put viOLet in a very tricky mid-game scenario.
Do you smell some 2 base mutas as we've got the Spire on the way? And this... oh, man, those mutas are not going to be out for any length of time. And this Cloak Banshee, it's heading on in. There is an Overseer Morphine, but for now, this Cloak Banshee is going to have free reign over this Zerg Natural.
Yes, there's a Spore in the main base, I believe, but not in the natural. And we're seeing 1 Queen already down. Now the Banshee's targeting down a drone or 2. Just alternating back and forth, it looks like. Banshee with 6 kills does get cleaned up. That's a good pick-off by viOLet.
Yeah, able to clean up 1 Queen, some 4 drones as well. But there's still, it looks like, 8 Hellions out front of for MaSa. So he's going to be running around. He's going to be looking for some openings with those. But mostly, he's just policing the front of that creep. He doesn't want viOLet to get too far out with that creep spread.
Well, if there was an opportunity for MaSa to do something, it's closing fast, because the Spire is about to finish. And when it does, we're going to see mutas come out for viOLet, and that will force MaSa to immediately go into defensive mode, having to put up turrets and whatnot in his base. And that's going to be him having to delay his economy, trying to prepare for that.
Yep, 8 mutas on the production tab as these Hellions out in the middle of the map. If they get caught out of position, we'll have to see how that works out. Now, I'm not actually sure. It doesn't look like MaSa ever did scout that Spire. So, yeah, he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he's going to be taking a look at the potential third base location, and I'm pretty sure he had eyes on the other potential third base location. So he's going to kind of confirm his suspicions that it's some sort of 2-base play, and hey, why not 2-base muta?
Absolutely. That is a very good point, and he hasn't seen roaches up until now. He's seen banelings, but nothing else. So, yes, it would be muta if he realized that viOLet's on 2-base. That's why we see not only a missile turret, but as well as a Widow Mine there in the natural. And while suddenly these mutas not finding as much to attack as they would like, but MaSa is still on 2-base. But then again, so is viOLet, so...
Yeah. The mutas do come in, and we still have those Hellions in the middle of the map. So potentially, if MaSa kind of smells that there's an opening, he could move for a pretty big counterattack and kill a lot of drones. The armory is on the way, so potentially those will be Hellbats, but that's looking a little bit too far into the future, as MaSa has to worry about these Mutalisks and the Lings, which are just outside his natural expansion.
Muta's still just basically moving, poking in and out. Couple do get picked off there by the Marines on the ground. viOLet finally taking his third base now, halfway done. MaSa, is there a CC in here? No, there is not. So he still is not taking a third base, but because viOLet doesn't have one yet, he's, by all means, not in too big of a rush to get it. But he will have to hold this defense soon with viOLet morphing a lot of Banelings on the ground.
Yeah, 33 Banelings in total. Now, there is a lot of Marines here, but the Widow Mines aren't burrowed, and the Marines are going to be, of course, running away. These are slow Banes, but now they got that speed upgrade. There's the Hellbats there to absorb a lot of the Banes, and yes, they are absorbing pretty much every single Baneling, as only a few do remain to crash into the Marines. But the reinforcements are here for MaSa, and he's going to be able to push viOLet back.
That was fantastically microed there by MaSa. It was almost a really scary situation, basically with those Widow Mines unburrowed, having to just run from the Banelings. But you know what? He set himself up well. He had some reinforcements coming in from the back. He cleaned all the ground units up of viOLet, being left with nothing but just 6 mutas. Now he is actually behind in supply, 115 to 84. And he has only just gotten his third base up with only 44 workers.
Yeah, MaSa is definitely going to be happy about how that engagement went, and with considering how he's pushing out on the map, this could turn out really well for him. Now, so far, the splits are great. There's the Widow Mine connections that MaSa was looking for. He's got the high ground advantage, and the Banelings crash into some of the Marines, but there's reinforcements here to push on forward. Stim coming into effect as 1-1 is completed, 2-2 on the way, but the GG comes down, and viOLet will drop a second map to MaSa.
Wow, 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 guys. 66.6% had basically viOLet dead to rights as the winner. Now we're suddenly seeing that poll change after game number 2. But you know what, guys? Just because someone wins 2 in a row does not mean it's over. It's not over till it's actually 3 wins. We saw that happen between Pili Pili and Gosu User. So don't write anybody off just yet. This is viOLet we're talking about, guys. Not just some run-of-the-mill GM Zerg on NA. So we're going to see Game 3 coming up, and it'll be interesting to see what map viOLet chooses here.
Yeah, so far, with MaSa just kind of controlling the ebb and flow of the match, viOLet, he's been trying to do some cutesy stuff, but it hasn't quite been working, and MaSa has come out in a powerful position in every single game, and the aggression that viOLet has tried, and I feel like he's kind of known for that aggression, it's just not working. It's falling flat on its face, and MaSa is just playing so well in this best-of-7 series. But there's still more games to come, at least 2 more if it's a complete shutout. Hopefully we won't be seeing that. Hopefully we'll see some of that back-and-forth action.
Absolutely. So, you know what? viOLet, both games, game number 1 and 2, played really aggressively. Neither time really worked out for him. So this time we might see him, just kind of take a step back, play a little more standard, and see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly a very capable player, as we've talked about, but as we've seen, and as the chat is finally learning, MaSa is a force to be reckoned with. As viOLet is the bigger name, but MaSa, like we were talking about, he's kind of the unsung hero. He's kind of the guy that people underestimate. Now, with Foxtrot Labs being the map choice of viOLet, we'll have to see exactly if he's got anything planned, because is this the map with the in-base expansion? I'm kind of forgetting.
What is this, Foxtrot? No,
yeah.
It is not. The expansion is outside. That is Nimbus, yes.
Okay. Well, in that case, never mind. I was going to say something about in-base.
There's a new map this season. Yeah, there's a new map this season where the natural's in-base. I forget which one it is, but...
I think there's 2, like Vonnie Research Station... And I think something else has an in-base.
Maybe. Well, nonetheless, we are not having those maps in the current map pool for Fight Night.
That's true. We are indeed playing on the previous season. Not the Dream Pool, of course, but the previous season.
No, not that. Not that.
That would just be weird.
That was a huge, huge mistake by Blizzard. Spending all this time hyping it up and then just, trashing it 1 month in. It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah. Now, fortunately, we aren't on those maps, but we are on Foxtrot Labs.
All right, so we have the first player here. Well, not to point fingers, but some of you guys in the viewership were sleeping on this dude, and suddenly he is in a... No, it's not match point. It's a best of 7. So, he's up 2-0. He still has, he's halfway there. Let's just say that. So it is going to be the Red Terran on the upper right-hand side of Foxtrot Labs LE. A map people generally don't like, from what I hear, but apparently someone in this matchup does. Red Terran guys representing Root Gaming. It is MaSa.
And in the southern position, spawning as the blue Zerg player with no team to represent, he represents himself. He is the excellent player known as viOLet.
So I'd just like to take this time, guys, to remind you that if you missed any of the previous games, they can be found in the next couple of days in the video section of the hitbox.tv/Team Gravity channel. For those of you watching on Team Liquid, you have no idea what I'm talking about. That's because you're not here. Make the jump over ASAP so you can get your 2 cents in on the poll. Who's going to win between viOLet and MaSa right now? It's at a dead heat, even at 50-50. Also, don't forget to follow us here on Team Gravity because we are doing this every week. So you want to know when we're going to be on live. You want to get a notification for that. We are putting in some of the best players in the world for these headliners as well as up-and-coming players in the preliminary events. You don't want to miss any of that because it's just a lot of great StarCraft play for entertainment and for learning, too.
Yep, for sure. And with some of these players, yeah, we get to see some of those lower-level matches. But like you were talking about, we get to see some of the best of the best. And not just viOLet versus MaSa. If you guys missed some of the other matchups, we had... I believe it was Fantasy versus Gumiho last week, and just incredible matches, and some other matches like Nathanius versus Destiny, which was just hilarious to watch, just for the personality.
Absolutely. That was a really funny event, and you know what? That was another one of those comeback situations. Nathanius just doing so excellently, adapting to his opponent's build from one game to the next. Is viOLet going to adapt to the way he's playing here? Because, well, after 2 really aggressive openers, he wasn't able to accomplish much. But now he's facing the aggression here from MaSa, it looks like.
Yeah, MaSa does indeed have that bunker going down, but are there any units actually going to be inside of that bunker? Well, right now, the answer is no.
It is a meta game bunker. Yes, it is.
It is a meta game bunker. Either that or he's going to get a bunch of Marines and then fly them across the map in a medevac, drop them into a bunker? I don't know. It could be some sort of really weird MaSa play as he salvages it there, so...
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know, maybe... Yeah, I have no idea.
MaSa's not been afraid to, really try to get into head of his opponent. He did this last game, too. He built that barracks a little farther off like you suggested, and then was to maybe make viOLet think he was cheesing. He's done it again. This time he's actually built something in his opponent's face.
Yeah.
And then salvaged it. So that was a little cute there, I have to say. viOLet was forced to make a few lings because of it.
And unfortunately for viOLet, he just poked in a little bit too far with that scouting overlord. He got a little bit too close to those Marines. And even look at MaSa. He's got 2 Marines way out on that little precipice. So he's going to be able to do that high ground damage. But yeah, he lost that scouting overlord, so viOLet was supply blocked for a little bit there. So not only did MaSa throw down the bunker in the face of his opponent, saying, hey, I might do something crazy, but it killed an overlord. Insult to injury.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing, too, is viOLet this game has elected to play more conservatively. He went for the hatch first. And with that, he's thinking, okay, I'm just going to be a little more conservative, not overextend myself with these early attacks that aren't doing much. But then again, he gets, forced to making these lings that he can't do anything with. And that's got to be extremely annoying for him. And then now he's going to lose, almost a second overlord.
Ooh, Yeesh narrowly escapes just about 30 HP there. but it is into the lair, it is into the Roach Warren, both of those things before the third base, and we are going to be moving on, closing in on that 7-minute mark with still no third from viOLet. He does indeed have an Evo chamber on the way, though.
So I guess he does want to make a 2-base timing push. MaSa right now, he's going to have something to say about that, I would think, because he is pumping out some units here. So he probably wants to go with, like a Marine drop or something into the main. Hellion run by on the natural. Really popular opening against Zerg right now. With viOLet going for a 2-base Roach timing, it should not be hard for him to defend this. But he absolutely has to. Because if he doesn't, then he'll have basically been gearing up for an all-in, and suddenly the bottom falls out on his economy.
Yep, and that is just going to be leaving him with a kind of sick feeling, especially after those first couple of games where maybe he went into this series thinking, oh, I'm viOLet, I'm the top dog, I'm going to wreck this guy, and then 2 games later, he's down 0-2. Let's see if MaSa can do some really good damage as he brought on a Widow Mine. Wow, that was one heck of a hit, as he does claim 12 drone kills. 13, he's stacking them up, lining them up. These Hellions are paying for themselves in spades, but the Roaches will push away the aggression.
That attack was monstrous. 18 workers killed in total, guys. It's brutal what just happened right here. It was quick, and it was destructive. And that Widow Mine is still here. This is a really bad situation for viOLet. He was gearing up for a 2-base all-in, and now he doesn't have the economy to support it. He's in just no position really to make a push right now. He's trying to counter with these Roaches, with 2 more bunkers about to finish up on the high ground. Is this going to be enough? He's got some Marauders to contend with. MaSa is basically trying to crank out some bio right now, and a tank as well. viOLet with 6 Roaches, that's not the all-in he was expecting.
No, and especially with, you talked about that worker count, but just for a moment there, it was literally like half the worker count for viOLet. And this Widow Mine now has 9 kills. It's still active in the natural expansion of viOLet. He's still potentially going to have to deal with that. Now, viOLet is starting to work on these debris. He's starting to shoot them down, but MaSa is aware of that. And of course, he's going to start building up those bunkers. He's going to reposition his tank, reposition his Marauders, and try to hold this off.
Oh, wow. viOLet is looking to play a little innovative here. He's dropped a Nidus Network in lieu of taking a 3rd base. He doesn't want to transition to Macro. He knows he's behind, so he wants to basically get in and attack and do something with it. Because right now, it's going to be hard for him to catch up to the Terran without doing some damage of his own. And while not being able to break into the natural from the front, there goes the Nidus Worm. MaSa, recognizing because the supply depot's on the edge, he's pulling his SCVs immediately to contend with it.
And with the DPS of the SCVs, he's not going to quite be able to get it out. Oh, no, the Queens don't get any transfuses off. There's the GG. MaSa takes it 3-0.
Oh, my gosh. viOLet was hoping I can get those Queens out just a second longer so the Roaches can come out, but that second was nowhere to be found. And MaSa, 3-0, just like that. Pretty impressive, I have to say.
Yeah, that last-ditch effort from viOLet just did not work. Now, there's only one chance remaining for viOLet. It's a best of 7. He's got that final map to look forward to. And hopefully, he's going to, bring something back for the next games. But we'll have to see exactly what he chooses, because he cannot be feeling good.
Yeah, that is really impressive right there. And man, viOLet, he has to be shocked right now. He could not have expected it to go this way. But you know what? We saw a player basically on their back foot earlier in Ghost to User. viOLet still has a chance. He could make a comeback here. It's going to be hard 4 games in a row, but it's not unprecedented.
It's nearly unprecedented, but it is not unprecedented, and viOLet is a guy that could do it. I don't know that he's playing on tip-top form today. I definitely wasn't expecting this sort of a one-sided series between MaSa and viOLet. viOLet is just one of those names that you expect to be contending with the best of the best any time, but right now, he seems to be sliding a little bit, which is no slight against MaSa, because MaSa is playing so well in this series.
I do have to say it. Violet's aggression has been getting the best of him. I mean,
Mm.
even the last game he did go for, he went for an expansion first, which is actually not as aggressive as what he did in the first 2 games. He still went for the 2-base all in, and he couldn't hold that initial push from MaSa despite that. So I don't know. He's going to have to fundamentally change the way he's going about the early game here, because every time it's MaSa who's been setting himself up for basically the victory.
Yep, and it seems no matter what viOLet tries to do, even if it's a last-ditch sort of effort with the Nidus Worm, it's just not working. Can he make it happen in game number 4? We're heading to Catalina, but it's been the map choice of viOLet, and I'm guessing at this point he would have chosen his favorite maps first on, so maybe he's not feeling too... Did viOLet, like, choose Terran or something?
Possibly. Yeah, that's what happened. All right,
Well,
so viOLet did not choose his race at the beginning of the game, so we're going to be remaking this one.
I think that happened last week a couple times.
Did it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I was kind of tuning into the broadcast, and they had to remake one game, I think, like 2 or 3 times, because a player accidentally chose, like, Terran or the wrong race. But, yeah, viOLet choosing Terran on accident, so he will... Bit of a misclick, but he will be going back into that game. So it's not over. We still got one last match for you guys.
Well, if viOLet has anything to say about that, there's going to be 4 more matches.
Yeah.
Or 3 more matches. No, 4 more matches, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I would love that if viOLet just performed the reverse all kill. As much as I want to see the Canadian Terran take it back against the Korean player, viOLet, I mean, he's pretty much been assimilated by the American fans. Yeah, he may be from South Korea initially, but he's been living and living and playing in North America, I believe in Atlanta, Georgia, for quite some time. He and Polt. So I mean, they're kind of American, anyways. But of course,
they're America's adopted sons, I guess you could say
yes,
that for sure.
Yeah. So as much as I want to like throw my heart out for MaSa and be like, yeah, Terran, yeah, foreigner, I don't want to see viOLet go down this way. So the reverse all kill would be so awesome.
Yes, or at least let's take it to an ace match. So
wait, did he change to Overgrowth?
Okay. Wait, have they played on this map yet?
No, it was King St. John Station, Merry-Go-Round, Foxtrot. So Overgrowth is good. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess this map selection was decided on by Kieran. And viOLet's okay with it. So he's going to go with it. I mean, to be honest, viOLet has to play on the rest of these maps anyways to be able to, win. So it's just the order of it, really. And not sure if that's going to really matter anyhow. So we are going to have game number 4 on Overgrowth. This is match point with this player right here on the upper right-hand side in the commanding position, up 3-0 and defying what the viewers all thought this was going to end up as. It's the Blue Terran representing Root Gaming. His name is MaSa.
The handsome Canadian, one of the kings of the North, but the player who is not to be bested. Many people think he is handsome as well, so don't let that fool you. But he is in the South, playing as the Red Zerg. It is viOLet. Currently teamless, but that don't mean no thing. He's a great player anyways.
And we have a 15 hatch coming from viOLet right now. MaSa is going to be building a Rax. He's got his gas already done. Now, one thing I've noticed out of MaSa, he has not really done any Reaper expansions so far, if I'm correct. Am I correct?
You are correct in that he went... Well, he has now. But before that, you were correct, because he did go CC first in the first game, and then he's been just doing Marine-based builds for the other 2 matches. So this is going to be the first time he's going for that Reaper expand.
All right. So you know what? With the 15 hatch, with the Reaper expand, is this going to be the most standard game we've seen?
It could very well be. I mean, I don't want to try to predict anything, but we do have a second Reaper queued up at that barracks, and we of course know, I mean, 2 and 3 Reaper sort of play can be very, very powerful by Terrans. We'll have to see how many Reapers MaSa decides to go up with. But we did see earlier today, by Intense, he had some pretty cutesy Reaper-based play versus Jon Snow. So maybe MaSa's going to be doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, we're going to find out with this first Reaper what MaSa's going to accomplish. Some Lings are already out here. They're chasing down that SCV. MaSa not quite able to save it. And, well, we are going to see viOLet in good hands here with these Zerglings. Queen is about to pop out. Don't see speed yet being researched, possibly because viOLet has not mined 100 gas yet. Oh, he's going to throw down a Roach Warren. Yeah, it's not possibly. It's
That's usually the reason why people don't throw down the speed. But with that Roach Warren on the way, how effective will these 3 Reapers be? Well, they've, of course, got a timer on them. And normally that timer is speed, like you were kind of alluding to. But in this case, that timer is going to be that Roach Warren. Oh, that one Reaper needs to be very careful. But MaSa is a benevolent god. He is keeping his guys alive. He is not sacrificing his Reapers to the Queens, but he's just going for those 3 Reapers for now. He's adding on the reactor to that barracks after that.
Oh, this is... Okay, see, the interesting thing here is that MaSa's gone for 3 Reapers, right? That kind of cuts into some tech for him, because he basically spent 150 gas on this. But with viOLet going for what is a very aggressive 2-base Roach opener, that could put MaSa in a situation that's hard to defend.
Very true. Now, this Reaper did just escape. I wanted to call attention to that just because I was making noises about it. But yes, with the delay of that tech, it could very well be a bad situation for MaSa. He is also going Hellions, which, I mean, he was able to defend quite well with Hellions in some of the previous games, but we'll see exactly how well they work in this game, because if those Roaches manage to get a good position on the Hellions, they can, of course, tear them apart. But MaSa... Yep, MaSa just had vision of the Roaches, so he knows for sure that this attack is coming.
Also, too, MaSa's gone for a very early 3rd CC, something he had not done in the previous 3 games, so that cuts into a potential army to defend even further. Let's see if MaSa can hold this down, but it's not going to be easy.
Yep, and with this one supply depot going down, that's a very small victory. Unfortunately for viOLet, it's not enough to actually supply block MaSa, but viOLet is on that 2-base economy, and MaSa only on the 1 base. So the Roaches are starting to push in. The first Widow Mine does not burrow. It gets cleaned up. 2 SCVs have gone down already, and the bunker is here in the middle. It's loaded up. There's 3 Reapers inside of it. They're going to be doing that good damage, but more and more SCVs and Mules are going down. viOLet may have broken MaSa in too far of a way to come back from.
Oh, yes. That bunker is still alive. Great, but the Roaches just waltz right past it, and now all the SCVs have to be pulled down to the low ground, and, well, that leaves all the tech to be taken out.
And will the Banshee actually get out the snipe? No, it doesn't happen. The Banshee is out, which means the defense is alive, but we all know how slowly Banshees actually kill off the Roaches, and this has been a huge disruption for MaSa. viOLet follows it up with Evo Chamber, a layer, more drones.
Oh, more drones indeed. 41 now, workers supplied in 19 for MaSa. And, well, we're seeing viOLet take advantage of this. He is pulling way further ahead now than MaSa, and that's kind of what he needs to kind of get things going for him in this series.
Yeah, now, of course, MaSa does have that triple orbital, which means even if he doesn't actually take a quote-unquote 3rd base, he does have that extra mule, and just now viOLet is taking his own 3rd hatch out on the field. There's also another Banshee on the way for MaSa, so he's going to be getting out an additional Banshee just for that potential harass.
Yes, and you know what? The Banshees are always an X factor. Remember in game number 1, guys, basically viOLet let a bunch of Queens fall to Banshees, leaving him with no production without injects. If he lets that happen again, that's going to be really disappointing for him. So he needs to make sure he has a way to deal with the Banshees this time around as he's trying to get that 3rd up.
Yeah, and I don't know if this worker advantage that viOLet has, I don't know if it'll mean all that much if this 3rd gets sniped, but the Queens are on their way. They're going to be trying to fend off this Banshee, and Cloak was never researched for MaSa. Oh, Oh, there's another Nidus on the way for viOLet. More shenanigans.
There it is. That is very interesting here, but before that, we got these queens transfusing each other. The roaches just backed off. That left basically these Hellions all just surrounding those queens, and, well, there go the queens. viOLet losing the queens once again.
Yep. And unfortunately for viOLet, he hasn't killed this army. It escapes. It could be back to harass another day, and we'll have to see if this Nidus network is the sort of game-winning move that viOLet needs it to be. Because, of course, like in the last game, it's completely unscouted right now. But, okay, so there's no SCV, or there's no supply depot for MaSa to actually see it constructing, and it will complete.
Yeah, MaSa now, he's basically, he has all his units right here back at home, but are they going to get into the main, though?
viOLet!
Nope. There's the GG, and viOLet has his first victory.
So we saw in the first series a nice back and forth match. It ended up going 3-1. The second series ended up going 3-2. And the third series, the best of 7, the main event, looked like it was going to go the 4-0 for MaSa, but no! viOLet stamps his foot down. He says, I'm going to take a game, and it's going to be 3-1.
Oh, man. So this is how it starts, guys. This is what Ghost U User did. Will viOLet catch that too as well? That fever? I don't know, but that was a much stronger game out of viOLet for sure. MaSa played right into it. He decided to play very greedy this game. Going with the 3 Reapers already set him behind as far as getting what he needed to defend roaches, and then the third CC on top of that just made it too far gone there for MaSa to come back from. So, well, that's why we are here readying up for game number, what is it, 5 now?
Yep.
Yeah, game number 5.
Game number 5. Yep, game number 4 finishes up a win for viOLet, which makes us all give out a cheer. Even if you don't like Zerg, even if you don't like viOLet, you just have to cheer for the sort of action that we've been hoping for. And viOLet showing his true form, showing just that dominant play like Droopy was talking about. Now, of course, you guys, this is the Team Gravity Fight Night, and as we get into this next game, this happens every week. There are stellar matchups to be had, lots of games with 2 best-of-5s and a best-of-7, and $100 on the line sponsored by Hitbox TV. A big thank you to those guys and a shout-out to them for supporting StarCraft 2 and Team Gravity in this sort of event.
Okay, we're now heading into game number 5. Don't forget, guys, also to follow Team Gravity as well on Twitter. Basically, they tweet out all the updates as far as fight nights, as far as what team events that they have for their players as well. Team Gravity is not just some event host. They are also a StarCraft 2 esports team. And we are participating in SC2 Improved Team League EU this season, which starts up this week, I believe. And, well, yours truly should be there to cast it. So yeah, if you guys want to follow the team that's been, putting up all these events, be sure to go to @TeamGrav on Twitter and smash that follow button. But for now, we are moving into game number 5 here. It is going to happen on Catalina LE, the map that was supposed to be for game number 4, but looks like we are going to see it now. And we're going to look first at this player on the left-hand side here on the 9 o'clock positions, the Blue Terran representing Root Gaming. Rocketed out to a 3-0 start, looked unstoppable, but then really quickly ran into a roadblock the previous game. Let's see what happens next. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have MaSa.
And just west of that, just east of that, in the almost 12 o'clock position, the red Zerg player, currently teamless, but he's a boss. It is viOLet. And of course, in the chat, if you guys are in the chat, who's got more swag, viOLet or MaSa? See, it's not all serious polls. Sometimes there are the ones for fun. There's usually some jokey ones that go on throughout the night. So if you're watching on Team Liquid, if you're embedded on another website, head on over to hitbox.tv/Team Gravity and join in the fun. But check out that pool coming down for viOLet.
Yes, it's another 14 pool. And I guess maybe this is viOLet returning to what he prefers to do generally, because we've seen him do this twice in games 1 and 2. He moved away from that because it wasn't quite working out for him. But now, after perhaps winning game 4, he's thinking, okay, maybe with that I can, go back to my bread and butter. Let's see how that goes for him. As far as MaSa, this is a second Rax.
Yeah, and it's in just a weird position. Of course, viOLet, he's going to head in. He's going to see what that overload. Okay, you got the barracks building at the front. It's looking pretty standard, and he's probably going to know the timings based on this map that it was probably, like a 12 racks or whatever. But that Reaper is on the way. It's all the way, or it's just now making its way across the map. So we'll have to see if MaSa is able to get any work done with that. But that second racks is very interesting as it's producing an extra Reaper.
Yeah, and you know what? viOLet is not going to be able to scout that just yet, if ever. Or, well,
Yeah.
I assume he will eventually, but probably far after he realizes it exists. Because we're going to see Reapers, and just Reapers galore from MaSa. Because that's pretty much why you open with 2 racks and gas, I might add. So, first Reaper's already out, of course. viOLet's not going to find anything too crazy about that. And you know what? He, of course, went 14 pulls, so that does give him the ability to make Lings earlier onwards, as well as the Queen. But we're going to see additional Reapers on the way. We're going to see an additional Queen on the way. So it's going to be a micro battle. That's really going to be the big thing here, as we are going to see who can pretty much have the upper hand as far as getting some kills.
For sure. Now, of course, there's the Queen Reaper micro that always happens, but these Reapers have a bit of a clock on them, and it's in speed, which speed is just about to finish, and they may be a little bit too deep on the creep to really escape. We'll have to see with the drones going in for this round. All 3 of the Reapers get annihilated.
Yes,
and that was
did.
A nice pickoff. viOLet looking good.
viOLet defended that fantastically. Did lose one of the queens there, but you know what? A queen is 150 minerals. 3 Reapers, same, but it's also 150 gas. And MaSa delays his tech because he went for 2 racks instead of building a factory or whatever. So viOLet has to feel good about cleaning that up. Now, the thing is that he can't quite break into MaSa's main base by any means. But he's going to be free for a little bit here to macro if he chooses to. Looks like he will. He's, basically producing 3 drones right now. But he will have to gear up, of course, for the Hellion transition that is happening before his eyes.
Yeah, and viOLet, he did poke up the ramp a little bit here, of course, with the supply depots and the barracks forming the wall. He doesn't have complete vision, but he was able to spot the fact that the command center wasn't quite finished up, which of course cues him in to where he is in relation to his opponent. He knows he's still on that 2-base economy versus his opponent's just 1 base, and of course with now taking the worker lead, because viOLet was actually behind a little bit in the workers, he's now going to be stabilizing a little bit. He's getting up to that healthy drone count, but there's those Hellions that you were talking about.
Yep, and MaSa now moving onwards with that second command center. viOLet moving onwards to Lair. No third from him yet. And with this Lair, let's take a look at the gases he's making, because that's going to tell us if he wants to get mutas on 2 bases. He's so far taken that second one in his main. If he takes the other 2 in his natural, then it's pretty much a lock that he's going to try to go for a Spire after this. Otherwise, honestly, I'm still inclined to think that that's the case. I don't see a Roach Warren or a Baneling Nest out of him just yet.
And he just now takes both of those geysers like you were talking about. But on MaSa's half of the map, we've got the Banshee, we've got Cloak coming out. Now, we saw this be fairly effective in some of the previous games. We'll have to see how it is here. But currently, there's no anti-air other than the Queens out on the map.
All right, there's that Spire that's being dropped now. First Banshee's going to come out soon. Cloak's still a fair ways away. So basically, viOLet's going to have a bit of time to defend Banshees with Queens. But how many Queens does he have? He did lose one earlier on. I think he's just replaced that one with another, as he only has 1 Queen on each base. So the Banshee, whenever he gets over there, is going to have an opportunity to get some snipes. At least before the mutas come.
Yeah, 3 Queens out on the map isn't exactly any crazy amount, but these Hellions are going to be scaring away some of the Lings in the middle of the map, clearing the path for that particular Banshee. And there is another Banshee in the production tab. I believe there's only 1 out on the map presently. Yes, there's 1 and those 6 Hellions. So Cloak is going to be finished up just as the Banshee arrives. But, like you were talking about, that Queen count is quite low. The Spire is going to be almost completed, though. So again, how effective is this Banshee going to be? We'll have to see.
Third base under siege right now by MaSa. viOLet just trying to get that thing up. Only halfway done. Probably will have to cancel this off. Oh, but MaSa turns his attention to the queens on the ground.
Oh.
And, well, these are the only 3 queens, I believe, that viOLet has. So if he pulls them this far out here, that's a few injects that aren't going down right now.
Yeah, every single queen has been pulled from the bases, but the spine crawlers are also being repositioned. MaSa has pulled back. He, of course, does have that cloak finished up, and he's adding on medevacs, so only just the 2 Banshees for now. He's not going anything crazy, 3 or 4 Banshees, nothing like that. And fortunately for viOLet, that third hatchery will finish.
Yep, and the hatchery has been transfused a bit here to put it back into yellow health, but these queens aren't injecting right now. They're kind of just, they're very far from home. viOLet has been focusing mostly on structures and upgrades for a little bit here, so he hasn't used up his larva. Oh, those mutas flying into a bad spot against those Marines.
But they did pick off both of the Banshees, which is quite nice. It eliminates one of those opportunities for counterattacks, for harassment for the Terran player. And a couple of more queens were added on, so it's just going to beef out the units that viOLet has. But we'll have to see if these Banelings get good connections against this army. The Hellions are going for the target fire down. They do eliminate a lot of the Banelings, but the third hatchery also goes down. The Marines taking quite a bit of damage there as all of them do get cleaned up, and the third hatch is going to have to be reestablished by viOLet.
Yep, losing that third hatch, not a good thing for viOLet. Can't be happy about it. As far as cost efficiency goes, MaSa hasn't lost quite as much. Oh, we're seeing Overlord spotting this drop coming out from viOLet, or coming out from MaSa. viOLet's trying to make a counterattack on the natural right now, and he's going to try to bust down this wall with his Banelings.
Yeah, but MaSa smelled out exactly what was happening. He added on 2 bunkers pretty much immediately after his attack at the third got cleaned up, and he's brought back the drop as well. So he's got a fair number of units here to defend. The army supply, relatively similar for these guys. A slight lead for MaSa, and of course, with Defender's advantage and those bunkers, he could really take this engagement quite cost-effectively, but we'll have to see, because viOLet isn't committing just yet.
viOLet's going to send in these 2 changelings here, which, of course, thanks to the missile turret, are detected immediately. viOLet, though, still waiting to retake that third. MaSa, on the other hand, doesn't have a third CC anywhere. So he is looking to just mass up an army here and get aggressive.
Yeah, MaSa is going to be able to pick off quite a few drones here, and he's killed a fair number over the course of this game. 11 in total. He's picking off an Overlord as well. MaSa moving out in the middle of the map, but his reinforcement train is getting caught up by some Lings. Unfortunately for viOLet, he has hardly anything here to defend, just a couple of Mutalisks, and they aren't in good enough numbers versus the Stim Marines and the Medevac, but it is going to force it away regardless. Now, a couple of more Mutalisks could go down. One gets evaporated, a second is being targeted, and it does go down before the reinforcements show up for viOLet.
Yep, but that does allow for viOLet to clean up that Medevac after the boost expired. We are seeing MaSa still on 2 bases here. So he's looking to make this work here, just macroing off the 2 bases, because he's starting to mine out of his main. He needs to take a third if he wants to continue this game, or, I guess, do some big damage here.
Yep. Oh, this is a big group of Lings, but the Widowmine hits are not the biggest we've ever seen. That one was way better, and the entire army gets cleaned up, and it seems like just those last couple of Widowmine shots really did some significant damage, but they didn't deal with the mutas.
Yeah, and with the fewer number of Marines on the ground, the mutas do clean everything up, as well as these medevacs, too. And another Widowmine? Nope. I think viOLet's going to back off from that, but
he has
oh no,
to,
he's engaging there! That's 4 mutas that die for no reason! Oh. And I know why. It's because he's focused on his third base.
Yeah.
Which did just get killed off by a drop, but that was a bad turn of events for viOLet, for sure.
Oh, 2 engagements on opposite sides of the map, or different parts of the map, going so well for MaSa. Once again, the third base getting absolutely destroyed, and viOLet's going to try to take a 4th to make up for it. He's going to take that risk, but can he hold off MaSa in the middle of the map?
Oh, well, it looks like MaSa already had his medevac rallied over to the 4th base just to see what was there. That is some fantastic luck here for MaSa, and he's gonna see it. You know he's gonna drop there. He has to. He has to double back with that medevac, or not. Maybe he wants to let it have a little more to it. I don't know.
Yeah, he did turn around just as he noticed he was controlling in the middle of the map. He sniped a queen, and he has kind of pushed forward. Of course, he has to be very cautious, but the hatchery is being targeted down. It will be going out, but in the middle of the map, Widow Mines clearing out some of the Banelings, but there's more reinforcements coming in for viOLet with the surround, complete destruction of this Terran army, and the Widow Mines did not necessarily do the damage that they need. This medevac over at the third base location. Can he claim another hatchery? MaSa just relentless with this harass.
Right now, viOLet is just trying to hold on here because the thing is, MaSa will eventually starve out. He's still on 2 bases. He's trying to build a 3rd CC right now, but you know what? If viOLet can somehow get a contain, keep the 3rd from being taken, MaSa will run dry on resources. But at the same time, right now, he's actually undersupplied compared to MaSa. He's also only on 2. He's been struggling to keep that 3rd running for long, so it's a tough spot for him.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those situations where both players have to be very careful, and with the worker supply completely even, the army advantage goes pretty heavily in MaSa's favor. So viOLet is going to need some engagements, much like the last one, where he got the complete surround. Sniping some medevacs is nice. He takes some shots from the Widow Mines, but I think only 1 Mutalisk went down in that particular engagement.
Yeah, the Widow Mines here, very tricky to maneuver around because really you have to send some units forward to try to draw them off. And then once that happens, you know, who knows? Oh my gosh, those Widow Mines unburrowed. They're unburrowed.
Oh, the Banelings don't necessarily get all of the connections that they needed. At first, they were getting some nice shots against the clumped-up Marines, but then suddenly the Marines pulled back, and the Marauders were absorbing the damage. At the same time, at the 3rd base location of viOLet, another drop is happening. He just cannot catch a break against the aggro of MaSa.
Oh, yes, and you know, the other thing, too, is MaSa just has more units. That's one thing that viOLet has a problem with dealing with right now. He doesn't have a 3rd. He cannot keep up with the production. It's not even just the mining.
Oh, those Widow Mine shots in the middle of the map, completely absorbing so many Banelings. And like you were talking about, the army supply is essentially double for MaSa. It's going to be just an incredible miracle if viOLet manages to come out ahead.
Yep, and viOLet right now is going to push forward with these units. Widow Mines burrowed, but further in the back. viOLet not going to further commit off creep. Wanting to stay on it.
Good. Yep, good from viOLet, not wanting to commit too far off of creep. More Banelings on the way.
MaSa now has taken his 3rd base, so he is mining once again on 2-base saturated economy. His main is now basically evaporated. So are some of these Marines on the ground.
Yeah, that was a much better engagement there for viOLet. It looks like a lot of those Banelings actually connected. Now, we do have the armory about to finish up for MaSa. We do have the +2 Carapace upgrade for viOLet. So he's a little bit ahead in the upgrade count in that respect versus the 1-1 of Terran. But, of course, you know, concussive shells, we've got combat shields, and stim, which means that bio is very powerful.
Yeah, and with MaSa now taking that 4th base at the top, it's really, really time for viOLet to do so himself. Grab a 4th base, because you know what? He's kind of...
He was trying, right as you were saying that, he's trying to do it.
Yeah, because the Marine is sitting there. But, you know, he can do it now, that's for sure. But then MaSa is also gearing up another drop, because he knows viOLet has to try to take a 4th.
Yep. And of course, viOLet is actually going to be trying to take a 4th in a different location. Well, he canceled it right there. But even if he takes that 4th, that's on the direct warpath of MaSa. And actually, if viOLet can catch this medevac, he's kind of smelled blood in the water. He will snipe it with 4 Marines inside, which is a nice pick-off. And maybe he can finally ebb some of this harassment, but can he stop the push in the middle?
Yeah, MaSa right now is pushing forward in the center. Now moving on to creep here. These creep tumors being cleaned up, but the Banelings and the Lings are chasing him down. viOLet doesn't commit. Worried about the ever-present threat of Widow Mines.
Yeah, man.
Decides to back off.
I know we saw in that Intense series a distinct lack of Widow Mines, but it's like MaSa wants to make up for that with his distinct use of Widow Mines. And a nice shot there. It does clean up Zerglings, which isn't, the best, but he'll take what he can get.
A lot of banelings being used right now on a relatively small number of units. viOLet still has a lot, though.
Oh, and banelings rolled into kind of that third/fourth base location of MaSa. They did eliminate some SCVs. I didn't see exactly how many. It looks like 10 have gone down throughout the entirety of this game. In the middle, banelings getting caught off a creep, getting caught by concussive shell. They're just doing nothing. But the
There's another ling run by looking to clean up more SCVs here on that fourth. Finish the job that the banelings didn't. That is going to be a lot better there for viOLet. But then again, this fourth base being targeted down. Will viOLet be able to defend it? He should with so many mutas.
Yeah, he'll be able to clean up the drop. He'll be able to stop the aggro. At the same time, he's forced the liftoff of the third CC, or the third orbital, I guess, as I don't remember if that was actually third or fourth. But he forces the liftoff of there. He cleans up a lot of SCVs with the lings, like you were speaking of. And he's got more banelings on the way.
Yeah, and like that, we are seeing now MaSa with only 33 SCVs, although he does have, I believe, 3 or 4 command centers now. Looks like 3. So he does have a few mules at his disposal, but then again, it's not really a huge amount because it's only going to be 3 bases.
Yeah. It's not anything too crazy. Now, the Widow Mines are once again spread back away from the kind of engaging part of the army. We'll have to see if they come into effect in this next engagement. No. Mostly the banelings are crashing against the Marines, but it's not fantastic trades. And like we talked about earlier, there is that significant army supply advantage for MaSa. It's not as big as it was a few minutes ago, but it is still there.
Right now, it looks like MaSa's caught up in the upgrades. 2-2 is actually out-upgraded viOLet by 1 level right now. But is viOLet having a better positioning advantage right now? Quite a few of MaSa's units were just sitting out here. Oh, there's a drop in the main base right now of viOLet. This could be... Oh, and also run by. There's so many things going on in this game right now.
As over at the fourth base location for MaSa, he is forced to lift up. The Mutalisks are going to be responding to the attack in the main base, and it looks like the front of MaSa's army has been paused, but he's moving Widow Mines forward. The medevac even gets cleaned up. Everything has been routed by both players, and this fourth orbital, or rather this main base, which was turned into the fourth base, is going to be kind of getting repaired there, almost burning down.
Right now we're going to have potentially another big engagement right here. The banelings and the lings not fully committing yet. Always worried about the Widow Mines now. viOLet says, I don't care anymore. A moves with everything. And, well, it is now mutas versus bio. We still have a lot of banelings on the ground, though.
Yeah, he's remaxing. Well, not remaxing, but he's rebuilding a lot of lings for the follow-up. Oh, these Marines, do they get split? Yes, they do. The Marauders absorb pretty much every single one of those banelings that went off. They were not on the Marines. Very few Marines actually went down in that engagement, which means these drones can be cleaned up if MaSa can just catch up to them. And these Mutalisks still have to kite away from the Marines, further and further away, trying to look for some opening, but they can find no angle of engagement, and the fourth goes down once again.
Oh, and potentially the third base as well. If MaSa takes this out, this could be what basically will break viOLet. viOLet had been clawing his way bit by bit back into this game. Suddenly, in just one fell swoop, his only mining bases were absolutely pulverized. Now viOLet trying to counter with his mutas into the main base of MaSa. Is this going to be enough? I don't know, because nothing is stopping MaSa on his march to victory in viOLet's base.
Yep, and MaSa has the more powerful army. It's just Mutalisks to try to clean up absolutely everything. MaSa scans. He's trying to clear the creep to do exactly what he can, and he's still got a handful of Widow Mines, 5 on the front line, going to be reburrowing, which means any counterattack or any sort of push-out that viOLet has to do, it could be brought to an explosive end very quickly.
And you know what is crazy is, wow, just one thing completely turned the tide of the battle, and that was those Marauders absorbing all those baneling hits. Now we have more banelings from viOLet. These need to be the most amazing baneling hits, but no, most of the army gets lifted up. GG from viOLet, and that's going to be it. MaSa, with superior micro in the last 5 minutes, able to turn the tide in his favor and close out this series 4-1.
For sure. Even the counterattack with the Mutalisks at that kind of third base in the north of MaSa was not enough. The missile turrets were being repaired. And viOLet, after losing so many banelings to those Widow Mines right on his doorstep, had to tap out there. But what a conclusion to the first February Team Gravity Fight Night. And of course, the Super Bowl is going on, which means we all have to extend a very special thank you to you guys who are tuning in for joining us here on Team Gravity's Fight Night, brought to you by Hitbox TV.
Absolutely, guys. And you know what? Big thanks to the players that were involved today, particularly, of course, in this last round. viOLet and MaSa putting up some great games. viOLet, that last game, he was clawing back into it. It almost looked like he was going to, potentially even win it after taking out all the mining that was happening at MaSa's third base. But you know what? Just in that last few minutes, the micro there from MaSa really basically set the tone for the victory. And gotta hand it to him. The guy is underrated. He's slept on, but you know what? He's basically proven his worth time and time again. He's $60 richer for it today.
Yep, he's got those bragging rights as well. And yeah, he may have fallen out of WCS to Hydra, but he can, of course, claim, hey, I beat a Premier League player. And we'll have to see how he does in the next season. But of course, viOLet, he's got bigger things on his mind and on his plate with his upcoming WCS group. So look for him in the future. He, of course, can show some very powerful play. And you were saying a thank you to these players, but also a thank you to Intense, Jon Snow, Gosu User, and Peely Peely, who showed us all fantastic games all throughout the night. It's been a wonderful evening of StarCraft 2 with players ranging from all sorts of different places on planet Earth. But we also had that fantastic, fantastic opening series between Intense and Jon Snow. You guys should check out the VODs. They'll be available on Hitbox TV as well as the Team Gravity YouTube. And what a great event overall.
Yes, and you know what? Let's not forget about our amazing observer here today, Curran, for doing a fantastic job with the camera work as usual, staying silent. He's like, he's like the silent superhero, like does his thing with a mask on, and nobody knows who he is during the day. So yeah, big thanks to him. And you know what? It was a pleasure casting with you today, Cybert. First time.
I enjoyed it as well. Yeah, it's always, when it's like first time cast, you're kind of like, I don't know how this is going to go. But
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your contact information? What's your deal? Let these viewers know how they can follow you.
Well, if you want to check me out, I am a commentator. I don't normally cast StarCraft 2, but I do really love the game. I am at OneSybert on Twitter, OneSybert. So nice and easy for you to follow, and lots of fun will be had on the things that I do, but it's not all StarCraft, so be warned about that. And of course, thank you, Droopy, for allowing me to co-cast with you.
Oh, it's not my permission, but it's my pleasure to have casted with you, absolutely. And as always, I am the official Team Gravity caster. I follow this team in all the events it does in the games we play. So we are participating in SC2 ITL EU starting this week. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be on our it'll be on our stream. You'll know what that stream is. I can't really say too much about it, but go to twitter.com/Team Gravity to follow us. That's at Team Grav, sorry, not Team Gravity. And then you can follow me as well. I'm at DroopyTown on Twitter, and I have a website now. It's droopytown.com. You can follow me. Pretty much, I tell you about all the games I've casted. My YouTube channel as well, if you want to hear more of my content, and that's about it. So, any more words you want to add, Cybert?
I just went to your website because websites are one of those things that can be so awful, but you get a thumbs up for quality website, at least on the face design. It looks quite nice. So yeah, guys, be sure to check that out. And of course, once again, a huge thank you to Hitbox TV. They have been putting on these show matches, now 4 of them, continuing into 2015. They're giving away basically $100 a week to StarCraft 2 guys. And of course, allowing Team Gravity to get some absolutely stellar matchups, some spectacular names, and some fantastic games for us all to enjoy. So thank you all for watching, and I'll let you have the final words, Droopy.
Sure, yeah. Don't forget to follow us here on hitbox.tv/Team Gravity if you want to keep up with our Fight Night events, and subscribe to as well for some of those subscription benefits. So that's really all. So I hope you guys all have a good night, And some of the Super Bowl's still going on, so if you care about that at all, you can tune in. But otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed everything. And well, for all of us here at Fight Night, we're gonna sign off here, and hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend.